Well, good morning guys, and today we're going to talk to you about how to use your new iRTA2 with an Android device. When you first get your iRTA2, open it up by pulling out the tab here and lifting it up. Thank you for your support. Inside the box will be the instructions, which can also be downloaded on the website. Top piece of foam, your 4-pin auxiliary cable, second piece of foam, and then underneath that, the unit itself. Attached unit will be a standard 4-input Phoenix connector that you can remove and use to make any type of connector you want. We made this a standard Phoenix style because it is so popular in our industry. Therefore, you can make as many style connectors as you would like. It also has a set of RCA inputs, and yes, you can use both at the same time. You can have an RCA in on the left and a high level in on the right. This will take up to 20 volts of input on the high level side. Before you can use this with your Android device, you will need to pick up an Apple USB-C to headphone jack adapter. Only pick up the Apple version of this. All the others will not work. They have high pass filters built into their USB-C and will block the performance of the unit. I can also tell you that this is one of the products that Apple doesn't do a great job on, and we do have a high failure rate from these, so I do suggest going to like Best Buy and picking one of these up for 10 bucks. Maybe pick up two just in case. The unit itself looks just like this. On ours, we've marked here to know that this is one of the good ones. Connect your 4-pin aux connector to the adapter and plug it into the USB-C. If your unit does have an aux jack on it, you can use it that way as well. Most new devices are just going to have USB-C though. The app you'd like to purchase for download is iRTA Pro. It's about a $5 app. There's two view options for the screen, which is obtainable through options. If you would like the toolbar on the bottom to go away, you can select toggle full screen. You can also save an image. The most important thing I've found, selecting the number of bands that you would like to use. In this case, we're going for a full 1/3 octave. And set analyzer time. This allows you to adjust how fast it is moving. I prefer it to move much slower, therefore you can see what is happening. To do all our tests, we're going to be using a pink noise track to validate on the screen. The idea behind the iRTA2 is that it has two channels of input. That allows you to look at the left side and the right side independently, as well as connect the two together. What you just saw there is two all-pass filters. This will allow us to take a left and right speaker, connect them both into the high-level input, and verify that there is an all-pass filter happening on those channels. We can look here on the RTA and see somewhere in the 3000 range there is one, as well as a second somewhere in the 250 range. We can then go into our DSP software and counter those. Turning on an all-pass filter on the opposite channel and typing in 3000, we can see here that it helped clear that up. There again, if we turn one side off and turn the other side on, we don't see those all-pass filters until we stack the two on top of one another. If we add another all-pass filter at about 240, we'll see that that cleared that up as well. So you can use the iRTA2 to validate where the all-pass filters are and show that you've fixed them in your DSP. The next thing we're going to show you to evaluate with the iRTA2 is high-pass filter from a factory system. This is very common in Hondas. It's becoming more and more common in more and more cars. Simple enough. Playing that same pink noise, tap your speaker into the high level input and turn them on. As you can see here, there's a high pass on the signal. That means if I'm going to be adding a subwoofer, we may run into some issues. I may want to test a different speaker and see if it is more full range. This would be the speaker I'd want to tap into, and not this. This is very common in Chryslers, where the rear speaker though is so alluring that you'd want to tap into it, it actually has a high pass filter on it, whereas the front door, which is the mid bass, does not. The next evaluation that we're going to show you is probably the most common use for the iRTA2, and that is just looking at the signal to see what it's doing. If we tapped into a radio, we can now see what equalization was done by the factory. things we may or may not need to fix. For example, if we're using an acoustical microphone and we find that this bump right here doesn't show up, we might want to leave that in there so that we don't have to erase it and then re-add it with our aftermarket software. This is also very helpful if we were going to run gain settings to see, well, what does 1000 hertz look like? In this case, 1000 hertz, there's a huge bump, which means if we were to set up for this, we might lose some playback, as well as if we come over here for 40 hertz, there's also a weird thing happening on that. When using a factory radio, being able to see what is coming out of it is very handy, so that you know how to evaluate it and what you need to do to fix it. We made this 2-channel for a reason, so that we could evaluate, let's say, a dash speaker and a door speaker and sum the two together and see what happens at that interaction. So for example, if we look at this channel, this would be a typical dash speaker. It's crossed over somewhere around 3000 hertz, and this would be a tweeter output and what it would look like. If we switch over to the next channel, we see some form of a bandpass crossover. There again, that 3000 hertz. This would be a good representation of a mid-bass in a door. This is ideal. We would like to sum these two together to connect to one channel in an amplifier. If we do that though, we notice some weird stuff here happening. What could that be? It could be a multitude of different things. It could be an all-pass filter, it could be some form of time delay, or it could just be the interaction of the outputs of the speaker, meaning is it a 12 dB crossover or is it an 18, 24, 6? Are we having some form of a issue at the crossover point where it's lowering the volume? In this case, if we flip the tweeters 180 degrees, it cleared up our problem. That means all we had to do was flip one and everything goes back to perfect. We can now sum these two together without any problems. Alright guys, I hope you liked this demonstration on some of the things that you can do with the iRTA2. Anything that it could do on an Apple device, it can do on an Android device. Keep in mind, you do have to get this adapter. These are just some examples of the uses for them. There are other videos in the series that show you how to do things on an iDevice that are 100% doable on this device. So make sure to check those out. And if you do want one of these, head over to dnftooldrower.com where you can pick up your iRTA2. Thank you guys so much for watching. Fernando.
On to the next one, guys.
You guys have a great day as always, and we'll see you later next time.
Bye.